Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I am going to create a double page scrapbook layout for you today. I've got lots of photos to incorporate and I'm using the Memory Lane collection from Close to My Heart. So when you first look at this paper pack, it's a big paper pack. You can see all of the different patterns there and they're double-sided so you get two of each pattern. But this little paper here, this pattern paper with the houses and the trees, I love it. It's so cute. It has just, you could use this for everyday life, documenting home. There's this great sticker sheet, spending time with you, and then just these houses are adorable. Living in the moment, loving this, fun with friends. But then I started looking at it and I'm like, oh, I don't have any like hanging around the house type photos that would work with this. And then I saw Jama use this paper pack for a tropical layout, and then another crafty friend, Jessica, used it for an ice cream layout, which was these papers here, and they worked well for Jama's tropical paper also. But I started looking through my photos and I found these and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. So this was a really fun opportunity I had. I actually went to Close to My Heart home office in Utah and had this amazing experience. Met all of these fellow like-minded crafters. It was so much fun. We went on a shopping spree. I'll tell you more about a shopping spree courtesy of Close to My Heart. It was like whatever you can stuff in your tote bag, you got to take home. It was a crafter's dream. But look at the wallpaper. This is this great big staircase in the, front room of Close to My Heart. And the wallpaper is gorgeous. It is this floral pattern and there's the greens and pinks, peaches. It's perfect for this paper pack. And then of course, all of my new crafty friends were just happened to be wearing the same color. So it's perfect. So I'm going to be documenting these photos today. Look at this one. They have this wall and it had these giant paper flowers. And of course, it was just such a cool backdrop. We had to take a quick photo. But yeah, I think this is going to work great for these pictures. And let me clear these up really quick. I'll show you more of the papers as we go. It's just really a great collection of neutral patterns. I mean, you do have the house pattern and then a floral pattern on the opposite side, but the rest of them are, as I mentioned, neutral patterns that can go, and just beautiful colors that can work for so many different themes. So let me swoop these up here, set them aside. With all of these photos, this definitely needed to be a double page layout. And I'm going to be layering lots of pattern papers, so I'm going to build this on a sheet of white daisy. And what I'm thinking for my photo configuration here, so this one's a 4x4. They have a studio, and gave everyone the opportunity to have their photo taken. So if you watch Close to My Heart's YouTube videos or Facebook lives, you will notice this backdrop. So it was kind of fun to be in their actual studio and have that picture taken. So the group photo is important. This one I printed it in an odd size because it was like a 9x16 orientation. So I ended up printing that it is with the white border, 5 1/4 by 3 1/4. And then I've got some 3x4s and some 3x3s. And if you want to know how I print smaller photos, I have a whole video walking you through the process. And heads up, the app I use is called Printicize and it is for iPhones only, but you might want to check that out because it has been a game changer for me with my printing my photos. So I'm thinking these two kind of here. This one maybe over here, and then I was imagining a column of my 3x4s going this way. Maybe I might end up doing a flip flap and having them kind of like that, so they are roughly the same size as these photos over here. So I've got options and we'll kind of let it develop. This is the actual studio where all of the projects are, their card making, all of their, just creative brainstorming happens in this room here. So it was neat to be able to see that. And I made so many friends. A lot of these ladies I, chat with and connect with online. So it was really fun to see them and meet them in person. But okay, let me set these aside and then we can start bringing in pattern paper options. Okay, so many options here. So I definitely want to bring in the floral pattern paper, but that's going to be more of like an accent pattern. So for my backgrounds, when you look at the photos, there's so many colors, but I want to use the peaches, I think. So let's see, this one might make a good background. I do like both sides of that. This one's a possibility. That one might be kind of busy for a large piece. I want a large background. And I definitely want to layer it over, probably this one. Let's see, let's try. So what I like to do when I have a layout design in mind already, and I'm thinking maybe this one. So let's just get the photos that go on this side so we can kind of look at it against the background colors. So I do like this peachy color. I'm going to get to play with all of my floral dyes today too. I am excited about that. Bring in like these paper flowers. I just want to kind of mimic that on the layout for my embellishments. So that is an option, that background, but let's try a few others. We've got this one here that's pretty and brings in all of the colors. Then you have to decide, do you want the yellow up, yellow down? But you can see there's yellows in the florals also. So that is an idea. We might be able to do something like that. And then one, where's that other pattern? I had one more. Oh, it's on the back side of this one. Are you confused yet? I am. Okay, let's try it on this one here. You know what? I do like the more subtle pattern and the softer color. And then we can bring in some bold colors with our floral embellishments. So let's try it with this one. I'm going to accent with this one. So maybe just kind of a border across the bottom to anchor my photos so they're not just kind of whoop falling off the page there. So I do think that that's a very pretty color palette. This one works too, but yeah, let's go with the softer one. Okay, I'm going to cut these down. I'm going to pause the camera and I'll be right back. I will go over the measurements here. I know you guys like to have those. So let's see here. These two are the same, and it is 11¼ by 10½. And I'm going to have that sit right here. You could gut out the base paper if you want to do that. And let me just make sure I did cut that at the same. Yes, 11½ by 10½, or 11¼ by 10½. And those are going to sit right there. And I can use the measurement marks on my Versamat to make sure that they are lined up and even top to bottom. And then I cut a couple of these pieces. So this one's 8½ squared. That one's going to sit here. And then this one is 8½ by 12, but I am going to cut that down because I want a little bit of this pattern paper showing around the edge. I just wasn't 100% sure with my photo configuration, so I wanted to give myself room. Now keep in mind, if you didn't have a lot of this particular pattern, you could put this one all the way across and then you would just need a strip of that. But for now, we're going to go kind of right there. And then these are 12 inches by 1¾ and I may put a dovetail in those. We'll kind of just go with this for now. I was watching one of my crafty friends over on her channel, Stamping Imperfection. Her name is Kim, and she's got a lot of great ideas, but she was talking about her go-to layout base, and it got me thinking. I do have several kind of go-to designs, and this is one of them. The pictures may change, the embellishments and the papers change, but the overall design is similar, and I like to revisit it. So do you guys have some favorite designs that you go to, you know, over and over again? When I have a lot of photos, this is you know, one I like to revisit. So again, earlier, or as I mentioned earlier, I was thinking about running this from top to bottom, but I should have made those photos a little bit smaller. So what I'm thinking is maybe cutting that one off, just having a column of 3, and then I can add a flip flap for that remaining photo. Plus that'll give me space for journaling also. I did go ahead and trim this one down to 10 3/4 in length. So again, we have that color showing on the side, and I removed that additional 3x4 photo. And I was looking at this, I want to move this one with the florals up to the top because we have the floral pattern here. I'm going to have some florals going on the side. So this is going to bring that color up towards the top of the layout there. So I want to switch those two photos. I grabbed a couple of my favorite die sets. These are thin cuts. These are layered florals. I've been using these quite a bit on my channel, and they are still available. And then I have the Sprigs and leaves. So this here is one of my favorite leaf dies, but a lot of these you can make different. There's some tropical leaves, and then you can layer these leaves over branches. Here's kind of what those look like. I cut up they don't come in these envelopes. This is just how I store my dies. But this is kind of what those layered sprigs and leaves look like. And then again, we're gonna use these to create a ton of flowers to embellish this layout. So let me go ahead and set this to the side here. Give me some room to work. And then I'm gonna grab some cardstock colors. So when you look at Close to My Heart zip strips here, they call it a zip strip. It's the branding strip. On one side you have a pattern, on the other side you have all the colors. This makes it super easy. So I'm going to go grab, they have ballerina, honey butter, melon, nectarine, peach, sage, sapphire, and then of course white daisy. So I'm going to grab cardstock in those colors, and then I know it's going to work great, and that gives me a lot of colors to layer up my flowers with. I grabbed some ballerina cardstock and then some peach cardstock, and then I was even thinking I can use some of that coordinating pattern paper and cut some of the larger floral elements so you'll see the pattern well, and then we can bring in some glitter paper. Wouldn't that be really pretty? I might do some white, and then this is Seabrook, but it actually has enough, it coordinates well with the sage. They're different colors, but this is going to work. And so what I'm going to do is just go cut a whole bunch of different paper flowers to work with, and then we can kind of put them together and see what we come up with. So I do want to show you, you can use these individually, but they do have layers. So like this, you can cut in one color and then have the detailed layer over the top. This one here goes with that one, and you can see they kind of pair up. So each flower has two layers. This one goes here, couple different leaves, and then we have all these great flower centers, and then there's even some branches. So lots of different options for mixing and matching. I cut a whole bunch of flowers. I ended up cutting some in honey butter because this is a coordinating color and there is a lot of yellow in the photos, so I thought that would be fun. I probably have more than I'm going to use here, but I cut a few leaves in that beautiful glitter paper. I even cut a bunch of the white leaves here, and then just a bunch of flower layers. So the inside of these flowers pop out, and you can layer those over other flowers. You can do all sorts of different things. See how that just kind of pops on there and makes a quick flower? Actually, that looks kind of good. And these are both base layers. You can cut two base layers and offset them like that. Isn't that pretty? There's so many different ways you can mix and match these. And then these little guys, I cut a couple. Same thing, it cuts the center. So you can pop that center out and then just have the background. And there's always a very obvious point, which makes these a little bit easier to line up. So you could go like that, and then you can use like this guy in the center of a flower also. So something like that. You can just keep playing with the different layers. And that actually looks quite good. I might go with something like that. So let's go ahead and just start playing. One of my favorite things to do to add some dimension to these paper flowers is to ink up the edges. So I'm doing tone on tone. This is peach cardstock, and you can see I have both the darker side and the lighter side of the peach cardstock in my layers. And I'm just adding a little shading of color to the outside edges of the petal. And again, this is just to kind of give them a little bit more dimension. Do I want to do the bottom layer? Yes, I do. Another thing I love to do on these flowers is stamp on them. You can take a stamp with a pattern or a text and just stamp, again, tone on tone or a contrasting color right over to create your own pattern paper. So let's go ahead and stack these up. I'm still not 100% sure. I need to kind of put them on my page to see how I want to layer the flowers. In the meantime, I'll continue my tone on tone going around each flower. This one is honey butter, so I've grabbed the coordinating ink. I've gotten the rest done off camera. Let's scoot those out of the way so we can bring in our layout and then start kind of placing these flowers to see maybe, what colors we need to layer and so on. I know I want a large floral cluster over here on the left-hand side framing in my photo, and I always recommend starting with the largest elements first. So this flower here is the biggest. I know I'm going to want a leaf kind of coming out the bottom here, and then let's bring in this flower. So we have options. We can use the base layer and go with the white, maybe a yellow, or we can bring in the yellow petals as well and see what that looks like. I kind of like the color. Let's go with the color. Now these you can layer underneath so the white peeks through the little slits in the petals, so that's kind of fun. I'm drawing my inspiration from the actual paper flowers in the photo, and I'm noticing they have blue leaves. Sapphire blue is actually a coordinating color with this paper pack, and you can find it in the flower centers of the floral pattern paper stripe. Let's get these smaller flowers placed here, and then we have these little guys, and then we can bring in some sapphire and see how that looks. So I want this here, there, maybe we'll just kind of tuck this little guy up top to draw that yellow, counterbalance a larger flower. So I want tiny bits of sapphire in the flowers. So I've cut a few of the flower centers, so it's kind of peeking through just like the sapphire flower centers in the pattern paper. And now I cut a whole bunch using my Sprigs and Leaves die. Now this die is no longer available. I'm really sorry, guys. It's sold out so fast because you can just cut all these leaves and then you get the card base. I mean, there's so many cool things you can do with this. But if you have a leaf die, or you can use that other leaf die from the Sprigs and Leaves set, and then you can cut just any color leaves you want. These again are sapphire. I'm just using them to accent those clusters. Let's bring that sapphire in even further so it makes more sense and frame our entire base layout here. So I have it just going around the top, the outer edge, and the bottom. And it's a subtle pop, but it really helps tie in those leaves and the flower centers and bring more blue into the layout. Looking at those brighter pink flowers in the photo, I cut a couple of these layers in flamingo, and I think that color is complementing this quite nicely. And then you guys know me, I love to ink up my edges, right? But let's do something different. Let's take this embroidered border stamp set. I'm going to use this little just kind of straight stitch and then line this up on my block. There is a line on the block that helps you kind of make sure these are straight. These long skinny stamps can be a little bit of a nuisance to get straight. And in fact, I'm going to check that on a piece of scratch paper and stamp it up towards the top so I can just get a good visual and make sure it's not kind of wavy. It is upticking at the end there, but I'll fix that off camera. So this is the piece right here I want to ink up or stamp around the edge, and I'm going to use the back side of my Versamat. That foam helps you get a better impression. So let's go ahead and start in this corner so I can control where it begins. And you know what? It's up against that line, but I can't see really well the top of the paper. So I moved it to the center of my block, and that way I can see where the paper was kind of lined up with the edge of the block and I couldn't see it. Hopefully that is making sense. So we're just going across here. I do want to stamp off the edge, so I just put a little piece of scratch paper. I am running out of room here. I don't want to get that on my other layout. And then I'm going to stamp right off the edge. I'm going to repeat that all the way around. This is very easy to line up because you can see right through it. And then I do want this to stop just about 1/8 of an inch from the bottom. So I'm going to use that same scratch paper and mask that off. That way I can turn the corner with my stitching and complete the pattern. I will do the other side off camera because I think you guys can kind of see how this is going. I didn't want you to have to watch me putting everything back into place again. So I went ahead and did that. My flowers aren't adhered down quite yet, but all the pictures are. And I did go around the edges with sapphire ink of the photo just to give them a little bit more definition. Now I need to work on the title. I have this stamp set. It's called Where the Heart Is. It was a special, and honestly I can't remember what the special was, but it's a close to my heart stamp, and I thought, oh, that's going to be perfect. So I had a little bit of this scrap paper. I stamped it on there in sapphire, and I thought that's going to fit right up here. And I was, kind of stood back and looked at it, and it works. I like it, but it felt a little redundant because close to my heart, close to my heart, close to my heart. It's in all the pictures. So I was like, maybe let's wait on that one. And then I went ahead and used my Moxie alphabet and stamped out CTMH, which is close to my heart. And I thought, well, that could work. And let's see. It feels a little bit, I do love this font, but I think it's a little bit heavy for the layout, just a little bit too bold. I feel like I need maybe a scriptier font. I don't know, what do you think? It just feels a little bit too bold and too chunky for that area. So let's come up with a few other options. I still have some brighter pinks in my photos, so I went ahead and pulled out some of my acrylic shapes. These were from the Flower Shop collection, and I thought maybe some of these could work, and I knew there were some title options in here. So there's this one here that says Lovely, and see what I mean? That scripty font just fits the feel of the layout much better. I could write Lovely Day and then just kind of stamp out day underneath there. That's an option. There's also this one here in white that says Best Day. Let's see how that one looks. It doesn't show up quite as much as the flamingo colored one, but I still like it. I still really like it, and it was a really fun day, so I feel like that title works. Let's go ahead and see if some of these floral embellishments will work actually. Maybe these smaller ones. So there's a couple of these like roses. I am on a mission to like use my stuff, so I am like, any chance I can pull in some of these acrylic pieces, I am all about it. There's a heart. I'm always for arrows. Let's see if we can incorporate that one. So I thought maybe we could just kind of mix these. There's a little tiny heart. Mix these into the embellishment clusters and see how that looks. Just add a little texture, a little bit more of that color. While I play with these embellishments, I'll tell you more about the photos. So back in March, I flew to Utah for this 2-day event at the home office, and it was so neat to see the building. It's absolutely beautiful. They gave us a tour of the grounds. We got to see where the stamps are made and the artwork room where all the magic happens, and they fed us yummy food, gave us presents, a tote bag, and the latest, it was a change of scenery paper pack, which was gorgeous. We even got to fill our tote bags. They turned us loose in this room. We had 10 minutes. Oh, I do want to show you guys this buildable tag set. I cut a tag from the pattern paper to bring more of that yellow up top, and we'll create a little embellishment cluster up here. I've got a couple word stickers. They say all smiles and fun with friends. I'll layer these, and then I'm going to bring more of those floral elements and acrylic elements to the top here. So back to the shopping spree, they gave us this really nice tote bag, monogrammed tote bag, and turned us loose for 10 minutes in this room where we could just like grab whatever we could stuff and carry into the tote bag. It was amazing. The days were also packed with creative and business master classes, which I learned so much. It was really a great experience. So this is the zip strip off of one of the patterns, and I really thought that this was a good opportunity to add more color and interest to this lower section. So I'm very carefully peeling up this picture, which I had already adhered. I'm going to slide that under and just have that layer across the bottom there. I am remembering to do this now instead of at the very end of the video. If you are enjoying this and finding it inspiring, I would love it if you would take a moment to hit that thumbs up button and maybe even share it with a crafty friend. Thank you so much for doing that. It means a lot to me. I have not been playing with my shimmer brushes nearly enough. This is the clear. You just brush it on and at least behind the shimmery goodness. And there's all sorts of colors, but if you don't have any, start with clear and maybe gold. Those are my most used and I absolutely love them. They're so fun and pretty. I thought about adding a 3x4 flip flap and including my journaling under here, but I decided to include more photos. So I'm using a Pocket Plus page and I've already tucked the additional photos in here, and you can see I've used the same paper to kind of decorate these. It's like a little mini pocket page. So just I repeated the same floral elements, added this little sticker from the sticker sheet. There is some awesome gifts they gave us while we were at this event, and then I used a sticker, Find Joy in the Journey. There's another photo, and then on the back I included the journaling and more photos, and there's a little bit more of the pattern paper as well. So this will sit right in. It has the holes that'll line up with the regular page protectors, so it'll kind of keep with this design and have that column there after all, and then so it becomes like an interactive element here. And let me show you these in the New Essentials catalog. So this is the New Essentials catalog, and it's kind of all the tools and the basics. And if you flip towards the back, they have flip flaps, which are amazing. They're a must-have staple in my craft room. But these are the Pocket Plus pages. So the one I'm using is Design 4, and it's a 3x4 pockets, and there's 4 of them, and they're horizontal. But you can see some of these photos are square, so I just use the extra space to fill up with embellishments. So there's another square one there. So even though it's 3x4, you can put smaller photos within those pockets. So these are really fun. Let me scoot this out of the way and maybe we can catch some of that shimmery goodness in the light. It's not quite picking it up, but you do see all that shimmery sparkle in the glitter paper. I'm loving how that looks, and the stitching stamped around the bottom or the borders of that peach layer. I think that looks really good, and it was kind of fun to do something a little different rather than inking up the edges. Again, this is the Memory Lane collection. It is a special out right now. It only goes through the month of August, so you might want to check that out. Everything I use can be found in the description box below the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon here on YouTube. Bye for now, and happy crafting.